On the early morning of July 1st, 2025, a deafening explosion shattered the silence along the Yangtze River in the outskirts of Wanzhou upstream of the Three Gorges Dam reservoir. A mountainside collapsed, unleashing a torrent of mud rocks and trees that obliterated citrus orchards and blocked rural roads leading to villages nestled between the hills and Asia's mightiest river. Miraculously, no lives were lost, but the strewn debris and isolated villages served as a chilling warning of the consequences of treating the reservoir's water levels like a faucet. For geologists, this landslide was merely another chapter in the 600-kilometer saga of instability surrounding the Three Gorges reservoir. But it was only the prelude to a cascade of disasters that rocked China from Sichuan to Liaoning, from Hubei to Guizhou, exposing an economic, social, and political crisis that the Chinese Communist Party (CCP) is desperately trying to conceal. Record-breaking rainfall flash floods and unannounced dam discharges from tens of thousands of reservoirs turned the summer of 2025 into a nightmare. Citizens' reaction. Mr. Zeng, a citrus farmer in Wanzhou, sighed. The CCP treats the dam like a toy, raising and lowering water levels to profit from electricity, heedless of hillsides collapsing onto our villages. Roads are blocked. No one comes to help. They just blame the sky. We live in fear every rainy day. Over 329 rivers across the country breached flood warning levels from the Min River in Sichuan to the Tonghan River. Major cities like Chengdu Dalian and Xiangfan were submerged while downstream villages were swept away by sudden dam discharges. The colossal dam system, once hailed as a symbol of progress, has become a lethal threat, pushing citizens to the brink of survival. Meanwhile, the CCP's censorship and propaganda campaigns attempt to obscure the truth. But the cries of the people and viral social media videos paint a grim picture of a nation grappling with a disaster born of both nature and human error. Citizens' reaction. Ms. Zhu, a factory worker in Chengdu, fumed. They discharged the dam at midnight without a word of warning, turning my neighborhood into a river. My home was flooded. Everything lost. The CCP only cares about keeping the dam safe, leaving us to float like debris in the water. Fallout of the Three Gorges Dam. The Three Gorges Dam. The world's largest hydroelectric project lies at the heart of the 2025 flood crisis. Designed to control floods, generate power, and facilitate navigation, it now stands as a symbol of engineering and political missteps. The reservoir's water level fluctuates between 145 meters during flood season and 175 meters for power generation, creating a 30-meter band of land that alternates between submersion and exposure. This wet-dry cycle cracks clay soil, destabilizing hillsides, especially when prolonged rains from Sichuan to Chongqing saturate fissures. On July 16th, the dam opened 11 floodgates, releasing 52,000 cubic meters of water per second, downstream only the second such event since its operation began. The result was a surge in water levels in Hunan Anqing and Hubei, pushing Dongting Lake and Poyang Lake to critical thresholds. Poyang Lake swelled to 4,600 kilometers, its largest extent in a decade, while Dongting Lake hit the red line, threatening unfinished earthen dikes. Dr. Wang Weiluo, a water expert involved in the dam's planning, revealed that flood discharges are often conducted secretly, sometimes at midnight, to protect the reservoir and evade accountability. They sacrifice the downstream to save the upstream, a political decision, not a technical one, he said. Citizens' reaction. Mr. Deng, a fisherman in Anqing, raged. The Three Gorges Dam is a monster created by the CCP. They released 52,000 cubic meters of water without warning, wiping out my fish cages. Years of work gone. They say it controls floods, but it only controls their profits. The consequences were catastrophic. In Xiangfan County, Hubei, 350 mm of rain fell in 12 hours. from June 30th to July 1st, turning streets into rivers with water depths exceeding 2.5 meters. Cars were overturned, bridges collapsed, and over 18,000 people were evacuated. Ms. Lee, a herbal medicine shop owner, lost her entire inventory. A lifetime of work vanished in one night, she sobbed. Nearby, Ms. Chen, a young woman, watched her new car get swept away, barely escaping to higher ground. The Three Gorges Dam's fallout extends beyond flooding. Silt trapped behind the dam reduces reservoir capacity, forcing earlier and larger flood releases, creating a vortex of silt and flood surges downstream. The lack of silt erodes riverbeds, drawing seawater inland and amplifying tidal surges. Floods inundated fish cages and stranded yacht docks, causing widespread economic losses and draining provincial budgets, while resettled families were trapped in a cycle of inadequate compensation, facing renewed risks of flash floods and landslides. Citizens' reaction. Ms. Liu, a resettled resident in Hubei, said desperately, "The CCP promised compensation when they forced us from our homes, but now they give us a few packs of noodles. My new house is flooded, the dikes are weak as paper. They built the dam to flaunt power, leaving us to live in fear and poverty. Social crisis, pain, and fury." The 2025 floods are not just a natural disaster but a social crisis. In Dalian Liaoning, 146.5 mm of rain from July 1st to 4 turned streets into rivers underground, parking lots into lakes, and even brought fish into residential elevators. A blogger documented 7th and 649 lightning strikes in one night, calling it the most terrifying rain in Dalian's history. Residents trapped in floodwaters climbed onto car roofs to call for help, while the city's sponge city drainage infrastructure collapsed spectacularly. "This is the sponge city they promised," one resident quipped on Douyin, pointing to cars floating in the water. In Liangjiang County, Guizhou flash floods and mudslides swept away homes, with locals accusing authorities of hiding the true death toll. Mr. Lee, a victim, recounted, "I saw 2 bodies in a supermarket parking lot, but the information was never reported. They call it a natural disaster to dodge responsibility." In Nanyang, Henan, 700 millimeters of rain in 24 hours on July 17th submerged fields and homes after the Yao Reservoir secretly discharged water. Ms. Xiao, a small shop owner, lost 1.5 million yuan in savings. "No one warned us. We built our lives, and the dam's water erased it all," she said in anguish. Anger spread across social media, but posts criticizing the government were swiftly censored. Images of officials in life jackets posing on rubber boats in shallow puddles were mocked as rescue theater. A Henan farmer prayed amid a muddy field. "Last month we prayed for rain. Now we beg it to stop. Our crops are drowning." Trust in the government eroded with whispers of opacity and prioritizing image over lives. They let the river swallow our homes to save their dam. Mr. Mizlu from Baoji Shanxi fumed. Citizens' reaction. Mr. Ma, a retiree in Liangjiang, said bitterly, "I saw bodies in the flood, but the CCP hides them like nothing happened. They call this a natural disaster to cover their crimes. How many died? How many families were broken? Yet they stay silent to keep their seats." CCP's secrets and propaganda. Behind the floodwaters, a relentless propaganda machine operates. The CCP heavily censors posts about dam safety, actual water levels, and casualty figures. Live streams exposing flood discharges are taken down, while senior officials like Vice Premier Zhang Guoqing are absent from disaster zones. Commentator Li Lingyi noted that since Xi Jinping took power, he has abandoned the tradition of predecessors like Hu Jintao and Wen Jiabao, who visited flood-hit areas to offer support. "They only show up when the water recedes to feign concern," he said. Relief efforts are performative, with central teams distributing instant noodles and small cash envelopes like alms. Dr. Wang Weiluo calls the floods a gray rhino. Large risks ignored. He revealed that China has nearly 100,000 reservoirs, 40% unsafe due to rushed construction, thin concrete, and lack of inspections. A government not elected by the people doesn't prioritize their interests, he said. Unannounced flood discharges have become a hallmark of China's water management, with officials prioritizing dam protection and their own positions over public safety. In 2020, floods from the Three Gorges and Gajuba dams inundated central Yangzhou Hubei, but authorities initially denied the releases, only admitting them under public pressure. Climate scientist Peter Glei emphasized the immense environmental damage from the Three Gorges Dam, while Michael Osen from the Hoover Institution warned that a major dam failure could be a death knell for the CCP's legitimacy. If the dam fails, the government's assurances will collapse, sparking social unrest, he said. Yet instead of releasing flood data or improving infrastructure, the CCP focuses on controlling information, hiding the disaster's true scale, and blaming rare storms. Citizens' reaction. Mr. Sun, an office worker in Yangzhou, mocked. The CCP censors faster than the floods I posted about the dam discharge, and it was gone in 5 minutes. Zhang Guoqing hides in an air-conditioned office, leaving us with noodles and empty promises. They'd rather let us die than lose face. Bote-Koshi flood and cross-border impact. On the early morning of July 8, 2025, a catastrophic flood on the Bote-Koshi River at the Nepal-China border swept away the Friendship Bridge, a symbol of connectivity between the two nations. The disaster killed at least 8 people and left over 20 missing, leaving devastation and questions about the CCP's negligence in infrastructure management. The Bote-Koshi, known for adventure rafting, became a deadly torrent, destroying the bridge at Rasuagadi, 120 kilometers from Nepal's capital, Kathmandu. Nepal police spokesperson Binod Gimire reported 8 bodies recovered with identities still unconfirmed. 57 people were rescued, while Nepal's army, per spokesperson Raja Ram Basnet, continued search efforts. With no significant rain in the area in the prior 24 hours, experts suspect a glacial lake outburst in Tibet, triggered by upstream heavy rains, caused the flood. Nepal's National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Authority reported 20 missing in Nepal, including 6 Chinese workers and 3 Nepali police. China's Xinhua agency noted 11 missing on the Chinese side. The flood swept away cargo containers, electric vehicles imported from China, and damaged a small hydro-power plant. The bridge is destroyed. Goods are buried in mud. The losses are severe, Rasua official Arjun Podel said. The Friendship Bridge was a critical trade link between Nepal and China, where Beijing has invested heavily in infrastructure. Its collapse disrupted cross-border commerce, leaving hundreds of trucks and containers submerged. Meanwhile, relentless rains battered China, with a tropical storm approaching. In Pakistan, floods since June 26 killed 79 people, including 38 children due to landslides and collapsing homes. Are these disasters a warning from nature or a consequence of CCP negligence? Economic crisis. Unfathomable losses. The 2025 floods dealt a severe blow to China's economy. In Xiangfan, Hubei, over 200 shops and 100 vehicles were submerged, with losses reaching millions of yuan. In Dalian, underground parking and urban infrastructure were destroyed. In Chengdu, floodwaters inundated subway stations and high-tech zones, paralyzing traffic. Discharges from hydropower plants like Du in Hunan swept away crops, fish cages, and yacht docks, devastating agriculture and tourism. Government compensation plans addressed only a fraction of the damage, ignoring loss of life and long-term impacts. In countries like Germany or the US, governments or insurers fully compensate flood victims, but China lacks such a system. "We lost everything, and they just hand out instant noodles," Mr. Chen, a farmer downstream of the Three Gorges, said bitterly. Maintaining aging reservoirs costs billions of yuan annually, straining provincial budgets. Climate change exacerbates the crisis, with stronger storms dumping 3 to 4 times historical rainfall on unprepared cities. Citizens' reaction. Ms. Wang, a shop owner in Dalian, raged. My shop was flooded, my vehicle's gone, and the CCP gives us noodles and a few coins. Their sponge city infrastructure collapsed like paper. They boast about construction achievements, but we pay with our blood and tears. Rumors and fear, the tsunami prophecy. Amid the flood, chaos, a rumor of a July 5th tsunami in the Sea of Japan sparked panic in Dalian. The rumor stemmed from Ryo Tatsuki's manga The Future I Saw, predicting a tsunami 3 times larger than the 2011 disaster. Though scientists debunked it, citing no seismic or meteorological evidence, residents stockpiled supplies and practiced evacuations. "I've never seen thunder and lightning all night like that," a Dalian blogger wrote. "I'm genuinely scared. Should I drive inland?" Japan's meteorological agency confirmed the 2025 typhoon season was within normal bounds, but public fear reflected distrust in official announcements. In China, where information is tightly controlled, rumors spread rapidly, filling the void left by government opacity. "We don't know who to trust," a Dalian resident said. "The government says the dam is safe, but we sleep with one eye open, waiting for the flood." Citizens' reaction. Mr. Zhao, a student in Dalian, said fearfully, "The tsunami rumor terrified me. But what's scarier is the CCP hiding the truth. They say the dam is fine, but who can believe them? If the Three Gorges Dam collapses, my whole family will be swept away, and they'll still say, everything's fine." Call to action. Rebuilding trust. The 2025 floods in China are not just a story of rain and water, but a warning of weak governance, decaying infrastructure, and the CCP's lack of transparency. Experts call for change, restoring floodplains, releasing real-time flood data, upgrading urban drainage, and promptly compensating affected households. Only open data can rebuild trust. Dr. Wang Weiluo stressed. But China's growth machine is trapped in conflicting priorities. Cheap electricity, fish farm leases, and lakeside tourism outweigh long-term safety. Share your story in the comments. The voices of the people, from farmers to shopkeepers, are living proof of this disaster's scale. Subscribe and turn on notifications for the latest updates on China's flood crisis. We are committed to uncovering the truth, amplifying the voices of those affected, and exposing the secrets the CCP is trying to hide. Thank you for standing with us, for standing with us, for standing with us.